Optimal Health Education. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to teach you a little bit more about the Corealign. Why? No one knows what the Corealign is, so we're just going to throw a demo out there and so people can understand how this can help your athletes of today. So we're going to start off right now with the F stretch. So Courtney, will you take that? We have a wonderful model here. Courtney is an athlete. She was a collegiate athlete. She went to University of Laverne and played volleyball there. So here we have a hamstring stretch. But more importantly, we have more than a hamstring stretch because we have stabilization on this hip. This cart is moving. So she has to create the stability, and that comes from her core. Go ahead and extend that cart back out and drop down into a little bit more dynamic F stretch. Good. And then we're going to come back up nice and tall. Good. And bring that cart back in. So that would be one stretch. We could take it to the other side. We'll go ahead and do the other side. And the reason why we do this is because when you're in a one-sided sport, you'll see the difference between both sides. One side will be much more efficient with their movement patterns than the other side. Again, this will chain the body. Go ahead and send that cart back and dropping down, and see this nice line that she develops right here. Not everybody will have that line, and we could see some problems with that as well. So coming up nice and tall and bring that cart back in. Nice job. All right, so that was the F stretch. We're going to do a different stretch now. Let's go ahead and do karate. This is a beautiful stretch because it will actually isolate muscles a little bit more, bringing it down. So we hold that position right there, and then what she's going to do is take her hands out to the side. So there's a balancing act right there. And now she's going to move that cart in and out. And it's difficult. There you go. Nice work. And what that's doing is it's stretching that hip flexor right here. That's very important. Your hitters in volleyball, catchers in baseball, there's always an issue with that. Even your fielders and also liberos or passers in volleyball. And taking the hand out there, we're isolating. She's stabilizing with her core, and she's moving that cart in and out. So she's isolating this area right here to get better control over that movement pattern. Why would that be good? Somebody that has a reoccurring knee problem or an ankle problem or even a hip problem, there's going to be some timing issues, and that'll show up in this motion. Go ahead and let's do arabesque. One hand is going to go here, the other hand's going to come here. We're going to take that cart out. One leg's going to come up, extend out, rotate, and open up. Here's the value. Take your hand position down one and open up. Now we're having this hip have to stabilize this whole body. And we're lengthening, we're going into extension, and we're using our core to do that. The next position here would be, I'm going to spot her. We're going to take this hand and go up. So coming up, and again, she's still stabilizing. So it's just another level of stabilization. And that hip is constantly working. Bringing it in. And the value to that is a soccer player, anybody that's, let's say you're going to do a hit and you want to come off of one leg, you can do that because you've got this whole stabilization going on. You put that whole load on there, the body will remember how to do something with that. All right, let's go ahead and turn you around and do a quad stretch. This is a general stretch, and we don't think much of it. Everybody knows how to do a quad stretch, but when we can take it up to another level, and go ahead and send that cart out and drop down, we're actually using this as a lever to get that little deeper stretch in that quad. Now she could actually extend that cart out and go for a different stretch, but we're going to do this and open up right here and bring that, there you go. And now we've got a bigger, deeper stretch. And then coming back in, and that would be a quad stretch. Good job. And let's go ahead and let's do point push walking. All right, both carts are going to go extended out. We're going to come up to the tippy toes, and the value here is that now we're training from here to here. This is where speed comes in. So for all your athletes that are looking for speed, this is how you gain it. And we're integrating the core and the lower body. These carts cannot stay out unless her core is kicked in. As soon as the core is kicked out, the carts will come back and they'll fly into there. So now we're going to add another piece to that. We're going to step it up, and let's have you oscillate back and forth. So even with that motion right there, what's happening is every time that cart goes back, that core wants to kick out. And she's training her core to stay engaged as she's moving. Where is this beneficial? Speed. Speed. You're running the bases. You're going for a ball and you're going to go pass it. Tennis. You're moving from side to side and you lunge out. This is where your core is going to keep intact. If we train it in this area, it's going to stay there outside. It'll show up outside fairly quick. Now we're going to progress to the next level. We're going to do a backstroke. Now the value to this one is now we're integrating the upper body and the lower body. So when we pull that upper body up and we take that arm up, that core wants to kick out. And when that core kicks out, the carts will slam forward. But as long as she keeps her core intact, in a dynamic motion, this is the beauty that shows up. And this beauty will start showing up in their sport. And again, we're doing the left side and the right side, so we're seeing what obliques are working and what obliques aren't working. And now we take it to another step. Courtney's already done it, but as she rotates, we're going to rotate that shoulder a little bit more and rotate that hip more. Now we're becoming even more dynamic on this QL the obliques on the opposing side. So obliques have to kick in. They have to kick in right there. And then when she goes to the other side, they have to kick in on the side. What's the value to that? One-sided sport again. Boy, that one-sided sport shows up big time because they can't do it on one side. The expression just dies. And these athletes, they see it time and time and they can't believe it. We're going to go into freestyle now. So the arm's going to come up and around. So it puts a different load on the core. It makes the core have to negotiate that movement again. And sometimes we'll see some cheating going on. And it'll look more like a little bit more flexion right here. It'll look like the carts are out a little further. And so then we could just correct that in a really controlled environment and teach that core where we want them to be. Wonderful. Thank you, Courtney. And then bring that in. That's wonderful. So right there, just even in that time that we did that, there's not a lot of cross training that you can find that'll train from here to here. And there's a tremendous value to that. So now we're going to go ahead and step off. We're going to do something else. And this is for low back problems. Sometimes I find that with athletes, they have sometimes reoccurring low back stuff. And so this would be a wonderful stretch or a wonderful work because in order to create a little stability in the low back, you need other synergistic muscles. And so your adductors become a real big play in that. So we're going to use that. Go ahead and bring those carts in. We're going to stay nice and tall right here. So we've got a load. And this is working the core. Now I'm going to have Courtney to take it to another level. Step up to your tippy toes. Up. And now from there, she's going to move those carts in and out. Try not to put so much stress on the bar, but just use it as just a balance, an adjunct to her balance. That is phenomenal. Again, what are we training? We're training from here to here, and there's a lot of value there. And we're also keeping that core intact. If that core wasn't intact, she'd be coming forward or she'd be collapsing. And we're training the inner legs as the bottom core set to try to help with stabilizing the low back. And we're also getting a little work on this low back. It's great. It's awesome. And go ahead and take that out. Then bring those carts in. And then now we keep the carts in. Of course, there's a load. And now she's just going to bend down and then come back up nice and tall. Good. And again, dropping down and coming back up. Good. And there's a little bit of a stretch, but it's a tremendous amount of a load. And now we'll just keep those legs straight and just extend out and come back in. Both of them at the same time. There you go. Good. And that's wonderful work. Good job. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on some obliques. So go ahead and go into a plank position. And this one, we're working the left oblique right here. So this, for somebody that is a right-handed sport, this would be very difficult for them to do without feeling a little compromise. They would feel it much more in their shoulders. They wouldn't know how to get their body to make this movement happen. And so we would modify it to teach that core how to kick in. And then it would flow nice and easy like this. My model actually makes everything look very easy. Wonderful. And go ahead and bring that back in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the same position. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on the opposite side. And just so you know, there's a whole bunch of little levers right here. And these levers, we can play with them and create whatever kind of load we want on that core. And so when Courtney's moving that cart that way, what's happening is there's a resistance happening, and that cart wants to move back. And so to make that flow really nice and easy, do you see how the smoothness of this? This is very important. What you'll find is athletes that there is some hiccups going on in there, that it's kicking in and cutting out, that the movement will also be really shaky. It'll be jagged almost, because there's hiccups in that motion. And that can actually set up for problems. That can actually set up for injuries when the muscle has those hiccups in it, because muscles don't necessarily like that jerky kind of feeling. And little timing issues can happen as a result with that. So when we do this, we're looking for smoothness in the delivery of the motion. We're looking for ease in the body. Good job. Now we're going to go ahead and do the mountain climbing. So she'll get her feet in that position, go out into a plank position, and go ahead and just move those carts in and out. So again, we're training core in a dynamic motion. Her shoulders are now stabilizing while the movement is happening here. So we can do this in a 1 minute, 2 minute interval, and the value is endurance. Okay? We can lower the resistance and create a bigger load on the core. So we can move everything. Now, let's go ahead and go into plank, and we're going to do a shoulder stabilization. As she comes back, she's stabilizing, and we're going to come up to a pike. So now we're working the lower obliques, or lower abs. Coming out, that's a hard move right there. It's big shoulder stabilization. She's carrying that whole thing right on that shoulder right there. That's wonderful for hitters, for throwers, your athletes, your baseball players that are throwers. This is how you create much more stabilization. Good. And then let's take a break. Good job. That was wonderful. Forgot. Yeah, perfect. So we did mountain climbing on that side. We can do a similar thing on this side and put her into plank. So now what we're going to do is another plank with oscillating. Good job. So now we're going to let the arms do the work. Before we let the legs do the work, now the arms are doing the work, and we're stabilizing all this while this motion is happening up here. And we're going to come up to a pike, get a hamstring stretch, and also work the shoulders on stabilization. Bring that cart back out and drop down into plank, and then come back up. Wonderful. And now come back to plank, if you will, and move both carts at the same time out and in. And that's very difficult. Puts a tremendous amount of load on that core. And then frog. Come in and go out. This is very hard. And then come in and out. Beautiful. And let's go ahead and take a break. Now we're going to do a side stretch. Send that cart out, come up, hold on, drop down one. Right here on the upper. Good. All right. And now we're going to, as she comes back in, she's going to leave that hip out and keep that shoulder in the same position. And let's drop this arm down one. And reach up and out right here. There's the stretch. So we got the ribs stretching. We got the QL stretching, which is right here. That's a low back supporter. And we've got this hip stretching. So we've got this whole line stretching. And where there's an injury, where there's tightness, that's where is going to show the bigger stretch. What I find with athletes, it's usually right in this area. Once this opens up, the stretch starts showing up here. So come on off of that stretch. Nice and tall. Good. And we're going to send that stretch out again. So bring the hand position down so we're parallel here. Right here. And coming up and over. One down. Good. Drop your head to the side. And now bring that cart back in. There we go. And we're going to open up right here. Good. Nice stretch. And pushing this hip out a little bit more. Dropping the shoulder down. Good. And dropping your head down. Good. And there's that nice stretch. Wonderful. Wonderful. And come on off of that stretch. We're going to switch feet. Still facing this way. Now we're going to do an upper body stretch. Take both hands all the way up. One less. There you go. Send that back cart out. Rotate your chest so we get a nice shift right here. What you'll find is the Corealign is actually training from here to here and here to here. I haven't found too many cross trainers that are looking at this, but this is the middle of the relationship between here and here and here and here. So it has a tremendous value. We can create a lot of looseness in this rib cage. It will support her shoulders and it'll support her low back. And then come on off of that stretch. And come on off. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that are looking to pitch faster, to jump higher, to sprint faster, for those of you that want more power in your sport, that want to really show up big on that day, for those of you that are looking for scholarships, you got to have this. This is the next level. This is peak performance. This is training core. This is the essence of movement. This is the essence of every motion that you do, whether you're hitting, you're throwing, you're grounding, you're grabbing balls, whatever it is that you're doing, it requires balance, power, stabilization, muscle. It requires all of that showing up right then and there. And the Corealign can offer you that right then and there in a split second. Thank you.